Hello, everybody, and welcome. I am the Shy Hat, and this is HackerFrogs After School. Today, we're going to be doing HackerFrogs Python Programming Basics Part 2, and I hope everybody is here to participate in that workshop. Otherwise, you are in the wrong place. All right, so everybody, before we get started, I'd like to make an announcement. We're going to be upping the number of sessions we have per week from once a week to twice a week. Benita Bethel, hello, nice to see you here. How are you? Are you doing all right? So we're going to be doing our sessions twice a week now because we don't want to have the course running for 2 months. That seems a bit excessive. So instead, we're going to have it run for about 5 weeks, which is a little bit less excessive, but it does require people to do more each week. We're going to be running our sessions on Mondays as well as Wednesdays at the same time during the week. So if you are on the West Coast, it starts at 4, and if you're on the East Coast, it starts at 7. But we're going to be doing it twice a week on Mondays and Wednesdays so that we can get through the sessions a little bit quicker. Let's see. Benita is well. She missed a few sessions due to. Oh, okay. I'm sorry to hear that you were sick, but we're glad to see you now. And we're going to be going through some basics of Python. Let's take a look at what we have planned today. Cheryl Dawson says hello, Cheryl. Nice to see you here. All right, so let's take a look. So what did we learn last time? This is the second workshop for Intro Python Programming. And in the previous session, we learned about the following Python concepts. All right, so we learned about the Hello World program in Python, which is the first program students write for any computer language. It's basically an exercise to print out the words Hello World to the console screen. And after we learned that, we learned about the print function. We learned how to use the Python print function, which prints information to the console and is common to almost all programs written in Python. So we're going to be using the print function a lot, so we might as well get used to it. We also learned about variables. Program variables are named storage locations which hold specific values which can be referenced multiple times in a program. So over here we see that, I don't have my highlight turned on. I'm going to turn that on right now. All right, so we have a variable here called name. It's equal to the string HackerFrogs, and another variable called greetings, which is equal to the hello string, and then we print these together and we get hello HackerFrogs. All right, so next we learned about data types. Data types including strings, non-numeric text, integers, which are whole numbers, and floats, numbers which include decimal places. So these are 3 types of data inside of Python. Python cares a lot about what category these pieces of data fall under. And on to what we're going to be learning about today. So in this workshop, first we're going to be learning about Python lists, and then second we're going to be learning about arithmetic operations. All right, so part 1 is lists. Lists are part of what Python categorizes as collections, variables that hold one or more values, which can be strings, numbers, or a mixture of different data types. So think of a list in real life. You can put all sorts of things on that list. The same applies to Python. So inside of a Python list, you can put all sorts of different objects inside. And an example list in Python could look like the following. So we're talking about lists. We have this one list here called vegetables. So vegetables is a variable. It's equal to a list, and the list contains these 3 strings: carrots, lettuce, and beets. Or we could have another list. In this case, it's a variable called related to pi. It's the string round, it's the float 3.14, and it's the string delicious. So as you can see, these lists don't necessarily have to contain all of the same data type. You could have a list which has strings as well as floats as well as integers. You can even have lists that contain other lists inside of them. Let's see. So a list is defined as a number of objects separated by commas. So each one of these list items is separated by a comma, and that's how you know that they're a separate item within the list. And they have to all fall between the pair of square brackets. So the way that Python knows that something is a list is that you put these things in between these square brackets over here. So lists and items in lists occupy ordered positions within it called indexes, with the first item in the index 0 position, the second item in the index 1 position, and etc. So it takes a little bit of getting used to counting from 0 as far as lists are concerned. So the indexes all count from 0, so it's 0, 1, 2, 3 in this case. Inside of this list here for fruits, we've got apple, orange, and grapes. The 0 index item is apple. The number 1 index item is orange, and the number 2 index item is grapes. So this is something we have to constantly remember, that the counting cart starts from 0. So what about this thing called list indexing? So we know that the positions in a list are called indexes, but there is also this thing called indexing. List indexing allows for the selection of a specific item in a list by referring to them by the position in which they appear in the list. So if we wanted to print something, we wanted to print only the first item in the list, we would refer to fruits by the index number 0, in which would be apples. So let's take a look at our online Python editor over here. So I'm going to copy this to the chat so everybody can take a look. So if you wanted to play along, you can visit this website right here, and you can do what we're doing here. So I'm going to recreate this fruits list over here. So we're going to do a number of different strings that are all fruits. So maybe I'll put strawberry in here, and maybe I'll put pear, and maybe the third one will be papaya. Okay, so in this case, we have this list, and if we were to refer to the items in the list by the indexes, this is index 0, this is index 1, and this is index 2. So if we were to print something, print fruit in the 0 index item right here, then what is going to appear? So just take a guess at what's going to print out when we print this statement over here. Okay, so let's find out together. All right, so we're going to print fruit, the index 0 of fruit, and this is going to be named fruit. Oh, it's not fruit. It's fruits. Okay, and Benita Patel is correct. The answer is papaya, and papaya is what prints out. Okay, so remember, if you're going to name a variable, you have to make sure that the variable is named the same thing everywhere in your code. So don't put fruits and then forget the S when you try to print it out. Okay, so let's go back to the presentation. To use list indexing, you use the name of the list directly followed by a pair of square brackets with the index position of the desired item inside the brackets. Okay, so next, look at the Python code above. Inside the print function, the tree lists index 0 is referenced. Which list item will be printed output? Okay, so in this case, which item is going to be printed out if we print out trees 0? And as a bonus answer, what happens if you print out trees at index 2? Okay, Cheryl Dawson is correct. The answer is pine, because we start counting from zeros. This is 0, 1, and 2. Okay, the output should be pine, since pine is the first item on the list. Note that counting positions in indexing starts from 0, not 1. In this example, trees 2 refers to cedar, since cedar is the number 2 item on the list if we count from 0. If I sound like a broken record when I talk about how we have to count from 0, it's because I had a lot of trouble picking up on this concept when I was learning Python, because for some reason it took a lot of getting used to. So I'm just trying to help everybody else out. Okay, so list indexing, changing index items. So we can actually change. An important thing to remember when working with lists is that the value of items in lists can change after initial assignment. So if we were to say trees is equal to pine, elm, and cedar, and then we're to print out trees index 0, it's going to print out pine. But if then we reassign trees index 0 to equal to oak, then this would change. So the great thing about lists is that lists can be items inside of lists can be changed. So let's do a little bit inside of our online Python over here. So list index 0 is papaya right now. Let's change index 1. So here, fruits 1, we're going to make it something else. We're going to make this, what's a fruit that people don't think is a fruit? What is a fruit that, oh, cucumber. Cucumber is technically a fruit, although people cook it as if it were a vegetable. Oh, tomato as well. Yeah, let's call tomato a fruit. Banana. Wait, was that reference to something else? Okay, so if we reassign fruits index 1 to be tomato, and then we print that out, and then inside the brackets, inside the parentheses, we have to specify the list and then specify the index. Okay, and then we're to run this, then it would say tomato. I spelled that wrong again. Okay. Cheryl Dawson is going to give us a suggestion. Cheryl Dawson, yes, we are listening. And remember, you can always print out the full list as well. So you can also just print out fruits, and that's going to print out the entire list. Oh, Cheryl Dawson suggested banana. Oh, sorry, I didn't read that in time. Sorry about that. Okay, so if you print out an individual index, it's going to print out just that thing. But if you print out the whole list, it's going to print out the entire list, including the square brackets over here. All right, so let's go back. So we're going to talk about data types, classes, and objects just for a little bit, because we're going to be talking about class methods in just a little bit. So first of all, this will make sense when we start talking about the methods. But we want everybody to know that every data type in Python, whether that's a list, a string, an integer, has to belong to a corresponding class. And each instance of a class is an object. So this empty list over here, this is part of the data type for this object over here is a list. And the list is also a class inside of Python, and classes have their own functions that they can do. So let's talk a little bit more about this. So we're talking about methods. Methods are class-specific functions. For example, there are list methods, string methods, integer methods, etc. Methods perform actions on the object. So basically, these are special functions that each of these class objects have that typically apply only to those objects. For example, we're going to be learning this particular method for lists, which is called append. And the append method is going to add something to the list. So in order to activate a class method, we're going to list the object, which is vegetables in this case, and then we're going to put a dot, and then we're going to specify the name of the method, which is append, and then we're going to put some parentheses here, and any arguments we need for this method we're going to put inside the parentheses. So let's go over that again. Methods are performed by indicating the name of the object, the list, and then a dot, and then the name of the method followed by a pair of parentheses which contain any arguments required for that method. So once again, we're going to be learning the append method, which is going to add things to lists, and the thing that we want to add is inside of the parentheses. So it's going to add an item to the end of the specified list. So this, what it says here, it's going to add an item to the end of the list. This is important so that we can predict where the object is going to go after we append it. So we see here that we have our list vegetables, which is carrots, lettuce, and beets. We're going to perform the list method append with radishes over here, and then when we print out the list of vegetables, we see that the radishes over here are on the end of the list because we appended it. All right, so let's try that out. So over here, online Python. Okay, so let's leave this alone. So we're going to do fruits.append. I need to remember to keep on putting that S over there. So fruits append, and let's append. So remember, the name of the method comes after the dot, and then in the parentheses we're going to put any arguments we need for the method inside of here. So here we're going to append we're going to append that cucumber. So we're going to put cucumber on the end of the fruits list over here, and then we're going to print it out. And if we do this, we run this, then the cucumber appears in the list at the end of the list. Okay. All right. So everybody, I want you to give this a try, because you can listen to me talk about this stuff in Python. But the best way to learn Python is to get in there and write some code and try running it. And it feels pretty satisfying when what you expect appears in the output. All right, so let's go back to the presentation. So we've got our friends, our list of friends. We've got Alex and Barb, but we're going to append Carl to this list. So friends.append Carl, and then when we print out our friends, the output should be Alex and Barb and Carl. All right, if only it were this easy to make friends. Next, we're going to talk about DEL, deleting items from lists. So deleting items from lists can be done in a few different ways, but if you know the list index of the item you want to delete, you can use the del keyword. So when you use the del keyword to delete items from lists, you have to know what the index is of the item you want to delete. So if we want to delete index 0, that's going to be Alex. And if we were to delete friends at index 2, it would be Carl over here. So if we delete friends index 0, then when we print friends, Alex is missing from the list, and we only see Barb, and Carl. Let's try this in our online Python. So we've got fruits append cucumber, and then we're going to del fruits at index. Let's delete the strawberry, and that's at index 2, 0, 1, 2. So del fruits 2, and then print fruits, and we should see papaya, pear, and cucumber in the list. So let's run this. Papaya, pear, cucumber. Okay, awesome. All right, back to it. So this is a repeat. Let's go over to our exercise. So we're going to use the Learn Python. We're going to go to the learnpython.org website to finish off the exercises over there. Okay, so let me get the link and I'll provide that to the chat. So please copy the URL from chat if you don't already have it, and let's navigate to that website. At this time, I would like to ask for attendance because both Black Girls Hack and Women's Society for Cyberjitsu is asking me for attendance for these workshops. If you're from Women's Society of Cyberjitsu, please type WSC in chat. And if you're from Black Girls Hack, please type BGH in chat. And if you're from neither organization, please type I'm not with either in chat, please. Thank you very much. All right, so on the learnpython.org website over here. All right, so we've got some some new participants. Unok Park, hello, and welcome to the workshop. All right, so we've got Cheryl and Unok and representing WSC, and we have got Benita Bethel from BGH. Welcome everybody. All right, so let me take the attendance just a second. Okay, so lists are very similar to arrays. They can contain any type of variable, and they can contain as many variables as you wish. Lists can also be iterated over in a very simple manner. Here is an example of how to build a list. Okay, so remember that that lists don't have to have anything in them when they, let me make this a little bit bigger so we can see better. So on line 1 over here, so my list is instantiated as an empty list. So this doesn't have anything in it right now, but in lines 2 and 3 and 4, the append method is being used to fill up the list. So what is it being filled with? It's being filled with these numbers. So these are integers right here, 1, 2, and 3. And we know that these are integers because they don't have any quotes around them. So if we wanted to make these strings, we could put quotes around them, and then they would become string objects. But by themselves, it's just by themselves they're just integers. So on lines 5, 6, and 7, it's going to print out each one of these objects. So this one is going to be index 0, and then index 1, and then index 2. We see here in this in these quotes inside of Python, you can use the hashtag over here, and anything after the hashtag is going to be a quote, which is basically comments. Sorry, these are comments that aren't going to be executed by the code. So I can write whatever I want here, and it is not going to be by the program. So developers leave a lot of comments inside their code in order to let other developers know what's going on inside the code, as well as to remind themselves what's going on inside the code, because sometimes it can get a little bit confusing. Okay, so what's going on? So right here, the code is doing a for loop over here. We're going to learn a little bit more about for loops in the future, but all you need to know that this for loop over here is going to print out each item in the list. So for X in my list, it's going to print X, and in this case, it's going to print 1, then 2, then 3. So if we were to run this code, we click on the run button, then these three print commands appear first, and then this series of print commands is going to go. So it's 1, 2, 3 from lines 5, 6, 7, and then 1, 2, 3 from lines 10 and 11. Okay? All right, so next, they say that accessing an index which does not exist generates an exception or an error. So we see here that inside of my list, we have the numbers 1, 2, and 3. But if we try to print my list at index 10 doesn't exist in this case. It only has index 0, 1, and 2. So if we try to print this, it's going to raise an error over here. And this error message over here is going to say index error, list index out of range. So an interesting thing that we have to pay attention to when we're dealing with Python errors is that the errors are often going to point to the line where the error occurs. So it's going to say here that line 2 is where the error occurs. And it's also going to give you a message that, that indicates what kind of error has occurred. So it says here, list index out of range. That means that there's no such index inside this list. So it's out of the range of the list. So the index is out of the range in the list, rather. Okay, so let's move on to the exercise. We're going to solve a little exercise by writing a little bit of code, and let me describe what's going to happen inside the exercise. So in this exercise, you're going to need to add numbers and strings to the correct lists using the append list method. You must add numbers 1 and 2 and 3 to the numbers list, and the words hello and world to the strings variable. So you will also have to fill in this variable's second name with the second name in the names list using the brackets operator. These ones over here. Note that the index is 0 base, so if you want to access the second item in the list, its index will be 1. Okay, so right here, this is our exercise, and what we need to do is we need to use the append method to add 1, 2, and 3 to the numbers list. So we see here that the numbers list is empty. We need to use the append method to add the numbers 1, 2, and 3, and then we need to use the append method to add hello and world to the strings variable. So the strings list over here, we need to add hello and world. And the last thing we need to do is add, let's see, second name has to equal the second item in the names list over here. Okay, so everybody, I want you to try solving this yourself. After you write your code and you click on the submit button, then if it says success or good job, then you'll know that you have completed the exercise correctly. Okay, so if you have any questions about what we need to do for this exercise, please type in the chat and I'll try to help you. Otherwise, if you manage to finish the exercise, please type "I did it" in chat with some smiley faces, just like this. Okay, so we'll take a couple of minutes and try to solve the challenge. All right, so in just a second, I'm going to start slowly typing out the code to complete the challenge. But go ahead and keep on working. And if you're able to solve the challenge before me, please type in chat to let us know. Thank you very much. GX000, are we hacking the planet today or what? What we're doing is we're learning about Python stuff. Today we're learning about Python lists, and then we're going to learn about arithmetic operations inside of Python. So if you want to follow along, we're doing this web page right here that I'm going to paste in the chat. Okay, so the one thing that might trip up some people when you're solving this challenge is solving this this requirement on line number 11. Or sorry, it's not going to be line number 11 for you probably, but it's defining the second name variable right here, and it's going to be names, and then you have to reference the second item inside the names list, which is 1 and then 2, the second one. This is the first and this is the second, and you reference the index number, which in this case is 1, which is because we're counting from 0. Alright, so if you manage to do all of this and then you click on the submit button, that's going to solve the exercise. And then it says, great job. So we managed to add these 3 items to the numbers list and the 2 items to the strings list, and then we defined the second name as the second item in the names list right here. Site won't load. Your students crashing the site? Well, I hope not. Try reloading the page. It might appear. It might appear then. Okay, so everybody try. If you aren't able to solve the exercise, you can click on the solution right here, and it's going to give you the code that it expects. So don't worry if you weren't able to solve the exercise. It's just that we have to understand what the question was expecting in the code. That's all. Cheryl Dawson has completed it. Congratulations, Cheryl. All right, so let's move on to our quiz. We're going to do a short quiz before we move on to the next section. So this is part 1 list quiz. We're going to have a couple of questions talking about lists, and please type in the chat whichever letter you think the answer is over here. So which of the following statements about Python lists is true? A, when printing a list, all items in the list must be printed. B, it's not possible to add items to a list after list creation. C, counting items in the list starts from 0, not 1. Or D, items in the list cannot be changed after they've been added. Which one is correct? Which one is true when we're talking about Python lists? A, B, C, or D? Cheryl Dawson, Binu Mithel, Unit Park, C, and the answer is C. Counting items in the list starts from 0, not 1. So this is something that we have to remember when we're dealing with lists. Otherwise, we're going to become confused. Okay, so this is I hope you remember how to use the append method, because we're asking which of the following code will add a string item, apple, to the list named fruits. So which one of these is going to add the string apple to the list fruits when we're using Python code? GX000 says, when in doubt, choose C. That is correct. All right, Unit Park, Binu Bethel, Cheryl Dawson, I'll say that the answer is B. It's fruits.append, and then inside of the parentheses, you put the thing you want to add, which is apple. Okay, that is the answer. Thank you very much, everybody. Okay, all right, so we're going to move on from lists, and we're going to move on to basic operators. So we're talking a lot about math over here. Personally, I'm very bad at math, but that's why I have a computer, because the computer can do the math and I don't have to. So in programming terms, operators are used to perform an operation on a piece of data. So inside of Python, the plus symbol, the minus symbol, the multiplication symbol, these are all known as operators, and they perform an operation on a piece of data. So we're going to learn about basic arithmetic operators that are used for mathematical addition, subtraction, division, multiplication, and a couple of others. So Python uses the following operators or symbols for basic arithmetic. So most of these are pretty self-explanatory, except that so instead of an X for multiplication, we use the star as a symbol for multiplication. And we don't use the regular division symbol for division inside of Python. We use the slash to mean division. And when we want to take things to a different power, we are going to use the double star symbol. So X double star Y, in this case, we could do X double star 2 instead of Y, and that would be X to the second power. And in the Y place, if we put 4, it would be X to the 4th power, and etc. All right, so the arithmetic operations that occur in Python follow the PEMDAS order of operations. So reach C, reach L answers C. I'm not too sure what that refers to. All right, so does everybody remember PEMDAS from math class? So it's basically, so let me explain what PEMDAS means in this case. It means parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. So if you see more than one operation inside of a mathematical, oh gosh, what is the vocabulary? So if you see a math equation with more than one of these, it's going to follow this order right here. So first, anything inside of parentheses, then anything that has to do with exponents, then multiplication, division, addition, and then subtraction. Okay, so in summary, all operations enclosed in parentheses are performed first, then all exponent operations are resolved, followed by multiplication, division, addition, and then subtraction operations at the end. Equation, math equations, that's correct. That's correct, GX000. Thank you very much. Okay, so look at the following equation in Python syntax. So it's so if this is the equation that we have to solve, actually it's not us that's going to solve it, it's Python that's going to solve it. But we have to understand in what operation Python is going to solve these. So first, this item is going to be resolved. The division operation inside of the parentheses is performed. And then second, the exponent operation over here is going to be performed. So 2 double star 2, which is Python syntax for 2 to the second power. And then third, the multiplication is resolved. So after this and then this is this multiplication operation. So this is a continuation from over here. So the next thing is that the division, 8 divided by 4, is going to be resolved. Fifth, this blue portion, the addition 2 plus 2 is resolved. Finally, the subtraction 4 minus 4 is resolved, which sets our final result to 0. So if you wanted to give this a try, let's. I'm going to copy this and paste it in the chat. So let's take this equation and go to the online Python editor over here. So delete everything. And all we need to do is we need to print this and surround this with parentheses. So this is going to give the command to print out the oh, I don't remember any of my math. So the answer to this equation is going to be printed out. So basically, so if we were to print this out, it's going to give us the answer 0.0. So this is the answer right here. So the great thing about Python is that you can let it do the math, but we just have to understand that it's going to resolve these operations in a specific order. Solution, yes, it's an equation and a solution. Oh my gosh, I'm really bad at math. Okay, so another thing that we're going to be that we're going to learn is about the modulo operation. Rough day. I'm pretty tired today, but I'm gonna try to get through this as best I can. All right. So a common operator used in programming is the modulo operator. So the modulo operator takes the form of this what we usually perceive as the percent symbol over here. And the modulo operation is going to return the remainder after one number is divided by another. So if we divide 5 by 2, well, we know that the answer is the answer is 2 remainder 1. But in this case, we only care about what the remainder is, not the actual result, only the remainder. So 5 modulo 2 is equal to 1 because 1 is the remainder, and 8 modulo 5 is going to result in 3 because 3 is the remainder after 8 is divided by 5. So the resulting number after the modulo operation is performed is called the modulus. So 1 is the modulus of 5 modulo 2, and 3 is the modulus of 8 modulo 5. So why do we use this modulus operation, the modulo? A typical use for the modulo operation is to determine whether a number is even or odd by performing a modulo operation on it with the number 2. If the result is 1, the number is odd, and if the result is 0, then the number is even. So this is performed anytime we need to determine whether a number is even or odd. So if we were to go over to our online Python window over here, and if you want your own online Python window, you can access it from this link right here. So if we had a number, so we're just going to create something called my number, and it can be anything. So I'm going to call it 7 in this case, and then in the case that so my number modulo 2, we're going to print that. So we're going to print my number modulo 2, and it's going to give us the remainder result after it's divided by 2. And and it's going to result in the number 1. So which means, and because it's number 1, we can tell that the number 7 is an odd number. So we're going to run this, and it's going to give us the result of 1. So in future lessons, we can probably incorporate this into a function to determine if a number is even or odd by running the modulo operation on it. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's go back to the presentation. So let's cover the next few exercises on the learnpython.org website. Okay, so we've got basic operators in the next section. So on your Learn Python, you can go to the next tutorial, and I'll provide the link to this page in the chat. Okay, so this section explains how to use basic operators in Python. So just as any other programming languages, the addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division operators can be used with numbers. So we see here that there is so that the number variable is equal to these mathematical operations right here. So let's see. So if we're doing PEMDAS, then it's going to be PEM multiplication. So we're going to multiply 2 by 3. I'm not sure. So let's just let's let Python do the math. So if we were to run this, then we get the result 2.5. Okay. So maybe we don't need to worry about it. We just need to know that it's running through a number of it's going to run through the things in order. Okay. So another operator available is the module operator, which returns the integer remainder of the division dividend modulo divisor equals remainder. Is this, wait, this is modulo, right? Okay. All right, so in this case, we're doing a modulo operation for 11 by 3. So what is does anybody know what the remainder is after we do modulo 3 on 11? So 3 divides into 11 3 times, and the modulo is going to be the number 2. So if we run this, we should get the number 2. And we get the number 2. Awesome. All right, so using 2 multiplication symbols makes a power relationship. So this is how we do exponents. So if we want something to be squared, we have to use the double star. So 7 to the second power over here is going to be 7 times 7, which is 49. Is it 49? And then cubed over here is going to be 2 to the power of 3, which is 2 times 2 times 2. So this is going to be 49, and 2 times 2, 4 times 2 is 8. So it's going to be 49 and 8 from these two. And run this. 49 and 8. Awesome. All right. So that's how we do exponents inside of Python. Next, we're going to do using operators with strings. So we can also add strings to strings. And in the case that we add strings to strings, then it's just going to run them together. It's going to run the strings together. In this case, we do hello plus world. Actually, it's hello plus space plus world. And when we run this, we get hello space world. But if we don't add in the space, then it's going to just give us hello world all smashed up together. Just like this. Okay. So Python also supports multiplying strings to form a string with the repeating sequence. So if we were to multiply with strings, it would basically just print out the string over and over again. So it says hello times 10. So it's just going to repeat the string hello 10 times. So we run this, and it just looks like this. We can even use operators with lists. So lists can be joined with addition operators. So when you so the interesting thing about Python is that when you add lists together, it's going to join the two lists, like end on end. So basically here it says odd numbers plus even numbers. So odd numbers 1, 3, 5, 7 is going to be the beginning of what is printed out, and then it's going to print out 2, 4, 6, 8. So when we print this, this is what happens. It's just going to add up all the so whatever is first is going to appear first, and whatever is second is going to appear second. All right. So just as in strings, Python supports forming new lists with a repeating sequence using the multiplication operator. So just like when we multiplied strings, when we multiply lists, it's just going to repeat the same list a number of times. So multiplied by 3, it's just going to print out this list over here 3 times. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right. So let's move on to the exercise over here. So the target of this exercise is to create 2 lists called xlist and ylist, which contain 10 instances of the variables x and y, respectively. You are also required to create a list called biglist, which contains the variables x and y 10 times each, by concatenating the 2 lists you have created. So remember, concatenating means to add one thing to another, basically, in this case. Okay, so what are we doing? We're creating 2 lists called xlist and ylist. So we've got xlist over here on line 5 and ylist on line 6. So which contain 10 instances of the variables x and y. So what we need to do is we need to change x to equal 10 instances of x, so x something, to make it 10 x's, and then y, we have to make this 10 y's. And then we have to define the biglist variable, which is down here, by concatenating the 2 lists you have created, by adding them together. So we're going to add xlist and ylist to make biglist. Okay. So everybody, what I want you to do is I want you to try solving this challenge right now. If you have any questions about any of the instructions for this exercise, please type it in chat. If you're able to solve the exercise, please type I'm done in chat with some smileys. Otherwise, in just about in a minute or 2, we're going to start slowly solving the challenge. But please try to solve the challenge before I do. So I'll give everybody a head start. All right, GX000, thank you very much for following. And I'm surprised you weren't following before. But thank you for following regardless. Thank you. Okay, so this must have 10x objects. So for this exercise, we don't need to do anything to lines 1 and 2. These can remain completely the same. Unit Park is done. Well, thank you very much, Unit Park, and congratulations. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to create 10 X objects. So So we can do it like this. So the x list is x times 10. Let me. Whoops, it's not going to be, so it's x times 10 right here. So the y is going to be, the y list is going to be y times 10, and the big list is going to be not an index, but it's going to be x list added to y list. So it's x list plus y list is equal to big list over here. So if we're to run this code, it says here that the x list contains 10 objects, so it's going to be x times 10. Y list contains 10 objects, that's going to be y times 10. And the big list contains 20 objects, which is going to be x list plus y list. Okay, all right. So that's that is the exercise. Before we move on to the final exercise of the night, and then the summary for everything we've done tonight, we're going to do another little quiz. Benita Bethel is done. All right, congratulations, Benita Bethel. Let's do the quiz. All right, so basic operators quiz. Question 1. Which of the following methods will allow us to print a string and an integer with the same print function? Okay, this was not covered in the previous material, but I want you to understand that normally when you let me see. So we've got a number equal to 1, and where did that come from? Is there something wrong with my keyboard? And word equals apple. If we want to print out number plus word, it's not going to work. And it says unsupported operand type, integers and strings. So integers and strings normally can't be printed out together because Python doesn't like that. But if you make this this number over here into a string, so you can specific GX000, thank you much for subscribing on YouTube. Thank you very much. But if you use this function right here, which is str, it's going to make whatever is inside a string. So we're going to make number a string, so it's not going to be an integer, it's going to turn into a string. Then it can be printed out along with our string over here, and then we get 2 apple. But otherwise you can't do it. But you can get around this by forcing another type onto a variable. We can turn this number variable, which is an integer, into a string with this function right here. Okay, so let's just skip that question. Which of the following math equations will let us determine if a number is even or odd? So we went over this earlier. Which one of these operations in Python is going to let us know if a number is even or odd? Okay, Cheryl Dawson says C, Unique Park says C. And Benjamin Bethel says C. The answer is C. So this is a very common use of the modulo operation in order to determine if a number is even or odd. Divided by 2, modulo by 2, and if the remainder is 1, then it's odd, and if the remainder is 0, then it's even. Okay, so we're gonna do a fun little we're going to do an exercise today that incorporates some of the skills that we learned in this workshop. GX000 says you have a meeting. All right. Please have fun at your meeting. We'll see you next time. Okay, so in this case, a sandwich restaurant owner wants a program that asks for a customer's desired number of sandwiches and drinks, then prints out the number of sandwiches and drinks as well as the total cost for this order. So this might, the answer is C, Rachel. Congratulations. Okay. As well as the total cost of the order, the menu only consists of 2 items, sandwiches that cost $3.50 and soft drinks which cost 99 cents. Okay, so this is the, we're gonna write up a little program. So for this exercise, we're gonna use a new method to insert variables into our print strings. So we're gonna introduce the print with the F function right here, which stands for format. And that lets us put the names of the variables inside of these squiggly brackets. And this is usually a much cleaner way of inserting variables into our print strings. So in this case, we just use F inside of the, we use F in front of the quotes, and then inside the quotes, we're able to put variable names inside of these squiggly brackets, and we're able to have them output. Okay, so we're going to use this inside of the program we're going to write. We're going to write our own attempt at the program now, the following code from help. Okay, so here are some key, let me make this a little bit bigger. Okay, here are some key lines from the program. So sandwich price, we need a sandwich price is $3.50, and the drink price is going to be 99 cents. We're going to ask for input from the user. How many sandwiches do you want to order? And we're going to save that to number of sandwiches. We're going to have an order price, which is equal to the integer of the number of sandwiches multiplied by the sandwich price. And then we're going to add the integer. So basically, we're going to do some math over here to get the number of sandwiches and then add up the total over here for order price. And then the final print statement is going to be your total comes to order price with the F format with the print over here. So everybody, we're going to try to write up this program, everybody. But before that, go ahead and try writing your own program, and you can use the Online Python website over here to do so. So I'm going to type up some of the variables you're going to need for the program, just so you can look at it for reference. So we're going to need sandwich price, you're going to have to ask for the number of sandwiches, and then ask for the number of drinks. And then you're going to have to define this order price over here. So if you're able to complete the program and you run it, it should ask for the number of sandwiches and then ask for the number of drinks. And then it's going to print out you ordered X number of sandwiches, X number of drinks, and then print out the total price of the order. So I'm gonna start typing out the program in the online Python editor now. But if you need a reference for any of the variables over here on this page, I've typed them out in chat, and you can look at the chat and get those lines from the code in there. All right, so let's start this. So it's going to be so the drinks price is going to be 99 cents. The sandwich price is going to be $3.50. And then we need to get the number of sandwiches from the input. And then we need to get the number of drinks. And then this fun mathematical equation right here, which is let me copy that from the chat. So this should be the complete program over here. So first thing we need to do is we need to define the prices of the sandwiches and drinks over here, and then we need to ask for the number of sandwiches and drinks in the order right here by doing input. Next we do the order price, which is, so the interesting thing is that the input is going to save everything as a string. So we need to force, when we're doing mathematical equations, we have to force an integer on this particular variable. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So integer of num sandwiches and integer of num drinks. Oh, this is misspelled. Sandwiches price, not sandwich price. And then we have to print out you ordered number of sandwiches and number of drinks. And then finally, you have to print out your total order comes to this price right here. So when we run this program, how many sandwiches would you like to order? We'll say 2. And then how many drinks? We'll say 1. And then you ordered 2 sandwiches and 1 drink. Your total comes to this price right here. Okay, so if I think I can copy this into chat. Let's see what happens when I try to paste this. Okay, so I think YouTube doesn't like this. Oh wait, YouTube, no, okay, no. YouTube does like it. Okay. All right, so everybody, so give this a go. If you're able to get this working, please type combo meal in chat. All right, so we're going to, if you have any question about how any of this code works, go ahead and ask in the chat. Otherwise, we're going to move on to our summary in just a little bit. Unit Park and Felicia. All right, good job, good job. Okay, so everybody, we're going to go over the summary for today's lesson, but I'm going to pass out the survey for Black Girls Hack participants, as well as Women's Society for Cyberjutsu participants. Please find the survey links in the chat. Unit Park and Felicia, may I ask if you're from Women's Society for Cyberjutsu or from Black Girls Hack? Please type in the chat either BGH or WSC, because I'd like to know which organization you all are from. Okay, so please fill in the surveys if you have some time. Let them know if I'm doing a good job or if I'm doing a bad job, because that's the only way we can improve, and I always want to improve the quality of my lessons. You are both from WSC. Okay, very good to see. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's do our summary of, so let's review the programming concepts we learned in today's workshop. So we learned about lists, which are variables with one or more items associated with them. Items in the list can be referenced by a process called list indexing. Cheryl Dawson got the combo meal. Congratulations. Okay, and we also learned about basic operators, which are used to perform arithmetic actions. So in the next HackerFrogs After School Programming Workshop, we're going to continue learning Python with the learnpython.org website. Remember, we're going to be moving from once a week to twice a week, starting from this week. So the next workshop is going to be on Wednesday at the same time. It's going to be 4 o'clock for Pacific Standard Time, and it's going to be it's going to be 7 o'clock for Eastern Standard Time. In the next workshop, we're going to do all sorts of stuff with strings. We're going to do C-style string formatting. We're going to learn about string methods, and we're going to be learning about string splicing. So everybody, I hope to see you all on Wednesday, but let's see. Everybody, before we go, I'd like to remind everybody that I have a YouTube channel over at youtube.com/theshyhat. And if you wanted to watch any of our previous live streams, you can find them here on the YouTube channel as well. If you want to watch any of the videos that we've published, we've been going through a lot of different challenges from the PicoCTF series of CTF games over here. We've got a lot of these videos. And I'd like to say thank you very much to Black Girls Hack as well as Women's Society for Cybersecurity for presenting the program. We'll be back on Wednesday, everybody. But until then, thank you very much for coming to today's workshop, and we'll see you next time.